And then I performed Our Lady of Mount Carmel with Father Jonathan out right over there. And something, and we did, but it's funny because Father Jonathan does such a good. We raised money for the church. We did the outdoor, concert out there for that festival.
Right.
But Dion from the Bronx, Chaz Palminteri
from the Bronx.
There were so many folks
All
from the
Bronx Walk of Famers.
This was great.
We have Jail. We have so many.
Yeah.
We haven't inducted her yet.
Yeah, you got to do it. Bring her out there. It'd be great.
We did have her out there a couple of years ago in Orchard Beach.
Yeah.
Remember that she did the free concert?
Right.
25,000 plus people out there. Free concert at Orchard Beach.
Wow, man.
So, how are you?
You know what? By the grace of God, everything's so good. I can't stand it. But, I'm just, you and I talked before we went on the air. The divide, the upset, the right, the left. I'm so tired of it. So I end up picking on Al or talking to crazy stuff about Frankie Five Boroughs. You know what I mean? You got to loosen it up, man. I'm tired of the fight. We could work this out. Somebody said to me, I took a picture with my green suit. Thank you for noticing. I took a
great suit
with my daughter from the father-daughter dance. Somebody said, I mentioned this earlier. Hey, Joe, you're a good man, Joe Piscopo, despite your politics. But you know what? It was okay. I could take that. So we could have a nice discussion about it. Why is everybody at each other's throats these days, man?
I think that there's all this cacophony because people are trying to be recognized and seen and heard.
That's a great observation.
All of the noise on social media, so everyone's trying to stand out.
Yeah.
And what we wind up doing is that we lose our way in disagreeing respectfully.
Yeah, man, you're right.
And I think that the best thing about government and moving forward as a society has to be that we all should be better listeners.
Yeah.
And we lose that because we call each other names.
Yeah.
And then we start talking past each other, and you never really get a chance to absorb what the opposing view or the person that you're having a debate with, where they're coming from.
It's so weird because
you and I are not about that, right?
No, man. You're a Democrat. I'm like a conservative. I don't even know what I am. Am I a libertarian? Am I an independent? I don't even know what I am anymore. They have to put a label on you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's so upsetting. And then I see online where someone says and it comes from the right and it comes from the left. If someone disagrees, idiot, nitwit. They use those words, and then they have like 1 million followers. It's like, who follows somebody like that?
They even do it when you have a Super Bowl pick.
Yeah. I don't even go there. You can't go with the sports.
What a snoozer, right?
No.
Was this a snoozer
one time, the Yanks were playing. I think it was a playoff game. I said, go Yank. They lost. I got the blame.
Right.
You shouldn't have tweeted it out.
Right.
It was bad luck, man. It was crazy. But getting into the politics, the NYC situation.
Horrible.
I mean, just as someone who was dedicated the last 25 years of my life helping at-risk communities, and I see what's happening with NYC. It was nice. Lynn Patton is stepping up, regional director. Ben Carson came into town. We had him on the show the other day.
Shout out to Lynn Patton, who is the regional director here of HUD.
Yep, Region
Again,
2.
we don't agree on everything, but we had her in the Bronx a number of times. And she has really stepped up the conversation. Look, whether you're a conservative, whether you're a progressive, Republican, Democrat, Independents, no one can argue that what's happening in the New York City Housing Authority today in this city is disgraceful. It epitomizes the most egregious example of ineptitude when it comes to services in city government. When you look at men and women and children who are living with no heat and hot water, with piles of garbage. A couple of weeks ago, I was out there in the Sonia Sotomayor houses, which I grew up in the block next to it, and those were my stomping grounds. To see a mini landfill right outside with all this gunk and smell, this putrid smell. These are deplorable conditions. I took a video of it. It went viral, and because of that, we started what's called the hashtag Clean Up NYCHA, which is a platform now where, because we saw that in 4 hours they were able to clean it up, even though they didn't do so in 3 weeks prior to that. So we're saying, look, if the city government if the only way to get them to get them to produce and to have results is to shame them, then let's do that. So we're asking all men and women and family members who live in public housing that if you have no heat, no hot water, lead paint, garbage, rodentia, vermin, whatever it is, post it on the hashtag so that we can send this message to City Hall that we have to clean up, that whether you live in a luxury private building or in public housing, at the very least, as New Yorkers, we deserve dignity and the decency to have the basic services that any human being deserves.
And Dr. Carson said it best. He said the press has to stay vigilant on it, to stay on this. I thought that was great that he gave the press a shout out. Hey, watch out for us, because I always said that's the ultimate way to have transparency. Keep the press close like that.
And because of that, we've been able to get results. So whether it's so the press is reacting to the hashtag.
Yeah, that's great. That's
what we're doing. A lot of the press, we saw, for instance, the very same day that we put up the hashtag, not only did we get results on Sonia Sotomayor houses, but in Rosneck in the Bronx. They had a situation there, and the press picked up on it, went over there, highlighted it, and they got results within 24 hours as well.
This is great, man. Because I think maybe you should hand it off to private enterprise.
No. I think that there's a room there. There's something called the RAD program, where you have, depending on if you can identify good players. You can have some non-for-profit organizations come in with some developers, and you can leverage, so that you can have money to be able to do the repairs. It's a way to get around some of the financing.
Listen, anything we can do to help here on the airways, because Lynn Patton stepping up, Dr. Carson stepping up, and God bless you for being there. And any help that we could do on the airways, let us know, man.
And again, regardless of your political persuasion, these are hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers that shouldn't be living under these conditions, and it's not just in the Bronx, across the entire city of New York.
It's so true. You running for mayor, man? You gonna run for mayor?
I'm seriously considering it. Yes, I'm out there. I'm raising money. Look, this is a city that is the greatest city in the planet, Joe. This is the city of opportunities. It's afforded my parents who came from Puerto Rico, who worked in the garment district.
Can I do an aside? Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Tell me about your father with the hat. You told me and Frankie. We're wearing that. Me and our Dollar wearing the hats with our Italian roots. Tell me about the Puerto Rican roots with the hats. That's a beautiful story.
So my father's from Bayamón, Puerto Rico, and my mother's from Ponce. And what folks don't realize is that they have sports teams and they have mascots. So everyone is always asking, why does he wear that cowboy hat? Well, in Puerto Rico, it's the Vaqueros de Bayamón, which are the Cowboys of Bayamón. So he wears it in homage to his hometown in Puerto Rico.
Beautiful.
So that
I love it.
You know how we always say, never forget where you come from?
Right,
well,
man.
this is his way of reminding himself and the whole world where he comes from. But again, going back to, running for the city of New York, look, because of this city has afforded my family opportunities, we went from me being born in public housing. I benefited, my brother, sister, and we benefited from the public school system. My sister's a retired police sergeant. I got involved because I couldn't be a Knicks shooting guard. I got involved in government, and my brother is a supervisor at housing, at public housing. And my wife, who started as a toll collector, Joe, at the George Washington Bridge, is now the airport duty manager for LaGuardia Airport. My sons are college grads. They're professionals. Our youngest son is a U.S. MP, a second lieutenant in the Army. So my entire political career has been about paying it forward. The city has given my family opportunities, whether I was in the assembly and now as the borough president. You look at the Bronx, it's not perfect, but we've really turned the Bronx around. You're looking at 84 million square feet of economic development, over 40,000 units of housing. We've cut unemployment by more than half. We're like a Renaissance story. So when you look at the city of New York, unfortunately, so many people are being left out of chances and opportunities. And I fully intend in 2021 to start talking about how is it that we maximize opportunity, not just for some, but for everyone, whether it's a small boy or girl in the public school system to a minority business owner who is not really benefiting from all the construction and all of the development that you're seeing in this city now and everything in between.
Now, your father, Ruben Diaz Sr., he's a political legend. He's a pastor. He's a conservative. Do you guys go back and forth at the dinner table? Huh?
All the time. No. Oh, man. I think that we can do like a reality show. But I love my dad. And, we respect our differences. Yes, we disagree on many myriad different political points, basically on the social side. But ultimately, what yearns in both of us is that we have a responsibility and a duty to work for the people of the Bronx and the city of New York. And we disagree where we disagree, but we work hard to make sure that we help as many people as possible.
Yeah. So what do you do when you start running for mayor? You got people. I mean, people. I know a lot of the press listens. They're going to be want to know. Do you already have a team in place?
No, so right now this is like the point where you go out there and you get to meet different communities and different people exploring. And
you haven't started an exploratory committee, right?
No, I did. I actually have a committee. We opened it up last March. We raised about $1 million so far.
What you did? Wow, already?
Yeah, and we're starting to obviously you go around different neighborhoods to see what is it that is of interest to them. It's a very big city, Joe.
I know, man.
And I don't mean that geographically only. I mean it in its diversity and the amount of different interests and concerns that different communities have, whether it's public education, which in and of itself is a huge umbrella, healthcare, the environment, public housing, transportation is on everybody's lips, right? So these are all the things that we're out there, creating job creation, affordability. People are concerned and people are scared about being able to stay in the city of New York. How do we work with the state legislature to ensure that we have rent laws and rent regulation to protect tenants so they can stay in the communities that they call home, so that they're not displaced. So these are all the things that you start going around now. You let yourself be known. You let people get to know who you are and where you come from or where I come from. And then, in 2021, which is, 2 years away, then we'll start doing all the formalities about putting the message and the team together.
What do you do? You're running for mayor, and what do you do when they talk about all the progressive socialist stance that they drive me crazy? I was a former lifelong Democrat, man. I was a blue dog, though. Probably like your dad. I'm more conservative than anything else. Abortion, the taxes, the tax situation, and I mean now congestion pricing to pay for like the MTA, and then for those of us who are just trying to work and pay taxes, man. And first of all, I always say to you listening, I'm a bleeding heart, and when you're helping the at-risk community, that's where my heart lies. Because there, but for the grace of God, go all of us. But what about everybody else who's working so hard, and the tax rate, and they're leaving the state of New York by the droves? How will you address that contingency?
Well, you have to listen. So obviously, whether it's folks who are saying we should tax the wealthier more, that's because people are frustrated, Joe. People are frustrated to see that there's the gap between the haves and have-nots continue to grow. And when we look at services, when you look, for instance, you mentioned the MTA, that we have to find a funding stream, whether it's congestion pricing, whether it's taxing the wealthy, even the legalization of marijuana and the revenues there. What I say is, as long as that money goes into the New York City transit system, so what your listeners should know is that the MTA is not just New York City. The MTA is a larger system. The New York City transit system are the subways and buses in the city of New York. So what we've been seeing for so many years is that while New Yorkers keep paying and paying through either taxes, through other revenue, through fares, now they want to increase the fare, they have fare hike proposals, our money continues to go to other areas outside of New York City. And if we really want to fix the situation, I say, why don't we make sure that whatever revenues we come up with, lockbox it to the New York City transit system. The best way to do that is to give the New York City transit system back to New York City. What people don't realize is that prior to 1966, the transit system was run by the city of New York. But then what happened, Joe? There was a fight between a governor and a mayor. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And the governor strong-armed and did a power move and took the New York City transit system from the mayor. And all we've seen since 1966 is this monstrosity of an authority. The bureaucracy continues to grow. Debt continues to grow. And the only thing that we've gotten for it is a decline in services. So I say, get all of the revenue, put it into New York City's transit system, and give it back to the city of New York.
Why can't you get Amazon to pay for everything? You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't that be a great idea? They have so much money.
But
really.
But now you sound like a socialist.
Yeah,
now
you
sound like someone
a little of Bernie in me.
So
yeah.
And there's merit to that, right? So here you have the largest, richest, most profitable company in the planet, and we're giving them $3 billion plus to come into New York City and a helipad. That should not be the case. What we need to do is, we know they want to come here. The question becomes, what are the negotiations? What are the specifics? If you're going to come here, number one, I think it should be built union. Number two, we should have union jobs. Union is the way for us and it's proven to get folks from poverty into the middle class. And then what are we doing in making sure that our public school system and our CUNY system and our students are able to get those jobs, have Amazon have a direct investment in our educational system. And then when you're speaking of infrastructure and you're speaking, value capture is one of the things that have been thrown around about making sure that companies who come here, whatever benefits they get from being in the city of New York, they should be able to put that back into the transit system. That's another conversation that we need to have. So it's a diverse city, and there's a whole lot of listening that needs to happen. I look forward to it.
You're on top of everything. Ruben Diaz Jr. Ruben Diaz Jr. is the Bronx Borough President. Great to see you. Thanks for coming in live, man.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right. God bless you. It's 9:22 right now. Hey, Debbie's on the